Right, it's another season in the MyCareer save, been and gone. I don't think it's worth even arguing. It is absolutely our most successful season to date. It could also potentially be our final season at Wolves. Hi there, how you doing? Welcome to part number 26 of Club 3 of the MyCareer save here on Football Manager. My name is Stu. Thank you for joining me in today's video where we are going to be reviewing the season that was. And if you'd watched last video, you'll know what I mean by this, but we're going to see whether we actually are still here for the start of the season or whether we've moved on to pastures new. And if you're excited to see what happens in this video, do we stay at Wolves? Do we move on? Do we build a team that's going to carry on doing what we did last season? Then don't forget, leave a big like on the video for me and hit that subscribe button as well so you keep up to date with all the nonsense that comes out of this face right here. So, we'll go into the season review, but just to mention beforehand, if you haven't watched the last video, go and watch it. A lot happens, so I can talk about things a bit more freely. Good? Good. So, season review. These are the transfers that we made, and the season signing of the season, rather, I should say, was given to Emmanuel Acker, which is a bit of a weird one, but sure, I'll go for it. Al-Ghamdi was our best player ratings-wise, but only played a handful of times on loan. Jack Grealish was better than expected on a free transfer. Van der Vaart was a capable goalkeeper, but he really let me down in, I can't remember what game it was. Was it the Champions League or was it the FA Cup final? FA Cup final. He let us down in that one. Quite happy to see the back of him. Kiko Bayo was great. I'd actually give him signing of the season personally. Very much making left back his own. Acker was very good though. 18 goals, 10 assists. He's done a really good job for us. D'Ambrosio's come in, one for the future. Done better than I thought he would, so very happy with his work. Rafa Marine, as well as a centre-back, did okay. Was expecting a bit more. That was it though. We only brought those players in, so pretty good going. Players out. Dalot was very good for us last season, but we saw the back of him, raised some money for him. Nuno Tavares also went, so we had a complete fullback change. I say that, we kept one of each, but you know what I mean. He didn't count. Bayetic left in January for Man City. Didn't really want to do that deal, but Bayetic at that point wasn't playing for us, and if he wasn't playing well. Bryce Samba, great in the first season, didn't need him after that. Happy to see him go. Mapiu barely got a game, had injuries as well, so happy to see him go. And the other ones didn't really count. In terms of results of the season, this is what I mean when I say please go and watch last video, because spoilers, we won the Premier League. We were expected to finish in the top half. We did not do that. We did better than that. After two back-to-back sixth place finishes, we brought ourselves to the top of the pile in the Premier League. 29 victories, 4 draws, 5 losses. Best goal difference in the league of plus 64. Atuesta was our top goal scorer with 16 goals. We need to do better in that department in terms of having a consistent striker. Hopefully Atuesta can develop into that this season. But a sensational set of results if you look down the side here. Just incredible. Bit of a wobble towards the end, but even with that wobble, it doesn't look as bad there because it doesn't have other competitions in, so very happy with that. I don't know what this is. It's like the version of the Community Shield just between the Europa League winner and the equivalents of South American competition, but we won that and that was a good thing. We also played in the UEFA Super Cup, got lost. Well, we got lost because we didn't win. We were beaten. Use your words, Stu. We were beaten by Paris Saint-Germain 1-0 in the final. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm not that bothered by that. Champions League. What a run we had. We managed to get through the league phase in the top 8, which was fantastic. Only losing against Sporting and Juventus, beating Valencia, Liverpool, Sociedad, Galatasaray, Olympiacos and Eintracht Frankfurt. We then beat Manchester United and Barcelona on the way to the semi-final, where we lost against Tottenham Hotspur. I want to see whether they won that or not. So that's incredible. We were expected to just do what we could, basically. Nothing other than that, really. And yet we got to the semi-final, so that's a really good result. In terms of the FA Cup, we're good at getting to finals, but every now and then we do slip up. We got to the final of this one. The penalties against Manchester United, that was in the last video. Heartbreak for Ute hitting the woodwork on his penalty, and we just couldn't get over the line. But a good solid run, beating Spurs on the way to it, beating Man City on the way to it over a replay. Pretty good run. I think we got fortunate with that semi-final. I think if we'd come up against a big team in the semi-final with how we were playing at that point, we'd have probably got knocked out, so we did well there. And then finally the Carabao Cup, we finally won it 3 seasons in a row. We get to the final, For the third time in a row, we finally do actually win it, and it's Tottenham Hotspur. That's been the overriding thing this season, is Tottenham Hotspur. They got one over us in the Champions League, so we'll have a check of the Champions League and see whether they actually ended up winning it. So as moments to remember, 7-2 against Leeds. That was fun. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Wolves 3, Chelsea 1 was the match to remember, apparently in December. I mean, that was a good one, and they're a good team. Hopefully our future employers. And then goal of the season was apparently Ait Nouri. He did score a number of very fabulous goals this season. Like, he was just out of this world. This is when we were using that crazy tactic. I need to be a little bit more calm on my tactics this season, I think, because we did go a bit nuts this season. We need to just find one and set to it. Right, a Twester, D'Ambrosio. D'Ambrosio runs a bit. Gets over to Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri. We have scored a couple like that, but that is a fantastic goal. I don't know. I feel like there's a couple that could rival that, but I'll go with that. Look at how much we dominated them, by the way. What a game that was. Oh, my word. Yeah, I'll go with that. Now, in terms of finances, in terms of the sponsorship revenue, up a little bit. Didn't really go up by that much. Broadcast revenue went down by 7 million. Don't really understand that. We got to the end of almost every competition, so I don't get that one at all. The corporate hospitality went up a little bit. Prize money went up by a lot. It doubled. A match day, commercial and retail went up a little bit as well. Shotquist is the best shirt seller, along with Atuesta, Grealish, Fernandez and O'Reilly. Of course, there will be no Grealish next season. Still a 4-star club. I imagine that will change over the summer. In terms of the team of the season, it's actually set us in the 4-2-3-1. I don't know how it's picked one, to be honest with you. Narrow formation with wing play. Good old FM. Trafford in goal. Leeson, Owino, Marine and Bayer in defence. Yep, no problem with that. D'Ambrosio and Andre in the middle. Considering that D'Ambrosio is the cover for Andre, that's an interesting choice. Shotquist, Fernandez and McKernan. Flip the order around and I'll go with that. And Atuesta up front, I'll go with that as well. Unlucky Aka. Now, in terms of accolades, we won 2 Manager of the Month and the Manager of the Year. You saw that at the end of the last video if you watched it. In terms of club awards for players, Fans Player of the Season, Shotquist. No argument from me. Yes, he dropped off the board at the end of the season, was still fantastic for the rest of it. Also, Young Player of the Season, sure, he's 22. Why not? Signing of the Season, Emmanuel Aka. Alright, fine, we'll go with that. Goal of the season, we've seen that, Ait Nouri. Top goal scorer across all competitions was 27 goals for Atuesta. We can do better with striker, I think. Most of this Shotquist with 21. Again, if he didn't have that drop off at the end, it could have been more. Atuesta with the most player of the matches. Shotquist with the highest average rating. And D'Ambrosio with most passes per 90 minutes. In terms of competition awards, we have got a few. African Defender of the Year, Ait Nouri, fantastic. European Golden Boy, Atuesta. I can't remember whether I highlighted that. English Players Young Player of the Year was Atuesta. And World Under-21 Footballer of the Year was Michael Shotquist. So we have got some very, very talented young players. I feel like we already knew that. Record breakers. Most goals by a player in the match, 3 goals. Take that with a pinch of salt. Take all of these ones actually with a pinch of salt. That is from when the save started, not history. So most assists by a player in the season, 21 for Shotquist. Highest transfer fee of 60 million and oldest goal scorer of Jack Grealish at 35. All just from when the save started. That is that. Now, we are now basically waiting to see if Chelsea can make their mind up, because I don't know how much I want to get into developing for next season while we don't know what's happening with that. Even if it's a no, I'm at the point now where I just want to find out. That's what they want us to do. Do you know what? I'm quite content just to accept that. That's absolutely fine. And then end of season team meeting. They want Europa League next season, so let's say that one. Premier League. Yeah, that's fine. That works. And do you know what? We'll just leave it at that. We don't need to say anything else to them. I desperately want... I mean, that's fine. You did a mistake in the FA Cup final. You can go, Van der Vaart. I don't care. Also, I might not be here. Friendly competition. Sure, why not? I've never had that before. Go on then. Let's accept that. That sounds like fun to me. We're just going to keep going a little bit here just to see what happens. Because again... Oh, sorry. Probably should have waited until that finished loading. There's not much that I really want to look at until we know what's happening with the Chelsea job. As far as I'm aware... I can't spell the word Chelsea. I'm very aware of that. As far as I'm aware, they've still not employed anyone at the moment. Manager. Caretaker manager, yeah. So they've still not employed anyone. I mean, it's the end of the season now, so there's nothing blocking me from coming. Wow. They didn't go with me in the end, even though I ended up being the favourite. Wow. Okay. The Osasuna manager. Lads, we need to have a word about that. I'm not happy with that at all. I wouldn't mind if it was a big name. It's Osasuna. Where did they finish last season? 10th in La Liga. And you're going with them over the Premier League winners. This is where Football Manager loses me a little bit, because there's no way in heck that would be a real thing. So, the question now becomes, do we look at any of the other jobs that are available? Arsenal's available. Lyon's available. Do we maybe look at... Osasuna's available. Do we maybe look at going abroad, or do we maybe look at moving to Arsenal instead? I mean, Arsenal did finish second. They're a fantastic club. Do we maybe consider that? Do you know what? Let's do it. Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Let's be realistic. We have, unless we get another great season in the Champions League like we did this season, we are not going to have another year like this year where we win as much as we have and we win the league. I'm also going to, by the way, I'm tempted to apply for the Lyon job just to see what comes out with that. We can match their reputation. We can do wonders with their youth facilities and things like that. Their kits haven't loaded on the game though, which is a bit disappointing, but I can deal with that. I do feel like we can't do any more than we have. The time is right to move, I think. The time feels right to move. Yes, it's 2.5 seasons. Yes, I know I don't really last more than 2 seasons into a job. It just feels like the right time. So I'm going to accelerate forward. Again, I keep doing it. I need to stop. Right, stop there, Stu. I'm going to accelerate forward. I'm going to see what comes up. If we get interviews, I'll show you them. Or at least I'll show you the first one that does come up. And then we'll see what happens. And hopefully we can get an offer. And then if Arsenal comes up, we're probably taking it. If it doesn't, then I'll have to think about Lyon, because that's a big move going abroad, and it depends on what the financial aspects of the job are as well. But they finished 5th in La Liga, so there's something to work with there. Right, bear with me. I'll see you in a few. Okay, so I've actually already done the interview with Lyon, and they've given me a job offer. The club are also looking to try and keep me as well, which is quite nice. That is the transfer budget. 7.75. The wage budget, bearing in mind here it's nearly 3, is 2 million. And they're offering me less than what I'm currently on. Putting realistic head on here, I'm not interested. You're not upping my money. You're not giving me a transfer budget. I'm afraid I'm not even going to entertain it. I'm not even going to go into negotiation. I'm going to walk away. Now with this, I feel like if I refuse to attend, that'll be termination. So I've still not heard anything from Arsenal, but I don't know whether this will lock me in. I don't want to say these ones. These ones feel very, very ultimatumy. But does these lock anything in? I'll tell you what. Let's improve the youth recruitment. Okay, they're going to do that. All right, has that locks me in? Because I haven't heard from Arsenal yet, so let's have a look. I'm still applied, but Pep Guardiola's in for it. Okay, there's still a chance. There's still a chance. We're breaking some Wolverhampton Wanderers board members' hearts, but there is still a chance. All right, we'll go for it. I'm still the favourite for the Lyon job, even though I've turned it down, apparently. Bear with me. We'll see if Arsenal eventually come knocking. Oh my God, finally. So Arsenal on the 27th June have offered me an interview. Talk about leaving it late, boys. Apparently we are very impressed by our results at Wolves, and that's the reason why they're giving me the interview. So let's do the interview, shall we? Okay. Okay, so let's see what Roberto Moreno wants from us. Why is your managerial career thus far lacks variety? I'm going to say that we've shown loyalty. Yeah, let's go with that. Why do you want to leave your current job after doing so much good work? I think I want to take the next step in my career, and I want that to be here. Are you willing to assure us you'll do a better job of meeting expectations? I always back myself to succeed. I'm going to promise you that. Part of the recruitment process, budget stuff. I'm going to say a small budget. That'll be fine. Still wants to play attacking, possession, football, making the most of set pieces, high pressing, entertaining, all the stuff we were doing at Wolves. That's all absolutely fine. End of this season, I mean, it's going to roll over to next season. Cup, challenge for the Champions League, challenge for the, well, that's it. Win the domestic cup, be competitive in the Carabao Cup, and do well in Champions League, and then eventually win the Premier League. I think we can win the Premier League in one season with Arsenal. I'm going to say I'm happy. Challenge for the Champions League, I'm going to say that one. Are you serious? Is that the transfer budget? Is there a zero missing? That's a half. Less than half of what we've got at Wolves. Okay, here's the thing. It's still a step up. It's a better squad. I'm going to say yes. The wage budget is way bigger than ours, though, so I'll definitely take that. We'll just go with it. I can't believe their wage budget, their transfer budget is so small. They must have already made some deals. Let's have a quick look at Arsenal's squad and just see what we'd be working with. So, in terms of most valuable players, Martinelli, 30 years old, most valuable player. Alongside Bukayo Saka, who's 29, also very valuable. They've got Methis Tell as well, who's got a lot of value. He's going to be a good player at this point. Not spectacular, but he's still good. 26. Odegaard's at 32. Some good value in him. We could try and move him on if we wanted to. Saliba's still there in his prime at 30 on a lot of money. Nwaneri has not got to the point where he's playing for England, but he certainly looks good. Declan Rice at 32, still holding it down. Simic is a youngster. He's definitely got some potential. Not much, but he's definitely a good player. Gary's a good left back, really solid. Pavlovic is a good central defensive midfielder. And you know I love to play with one of them. Calafiori is decent as well. Kiwior, I'd probably move him on, but he's got decent value. Guendouzi, it's weird that they've re-signed him in this universe. Samuel Lino, I'd probably move him on, but he'd be decent enough. Varela, I don't know much about him, but he looks okay. Sardella, we'd get rid of him ideally. Codrington's a youngster, we'd move him on because he's not really good. Rowan's got some potential. Esposito's not going to be staying now. I'd love to buy him now because he did well for them, I think. Benjamin White at 33, we'd probably try and move him on. Then we've got Samuel Ealing, who's on loan at Manchester United and joining them on a permanent. That's a weird one. Carnacecchi I'm very familiar with from a Deportivo save. David Raya would get out the door. Gabriel would probably get out the door at this point. Lewis Skelly, not quite developed as well as probably the game would have intended. That guy's on loan. Kai Havertz 32, still very good. And Sotalo is very good as well. There's value there if we wanted to try and move some people on. There's definite value. So we could try and get some funds raised as a result of that. I don't know on that one. I genuinely don't know. We'll have to wait and see if the offer comes, won't we? It might not even come. It might be like the Chelsea job. We might not even get the offer, but we have to think on that one. Okay, I actually pushed things past the point of the 1st of July and getting to the point where we were starting to have to think about what we're going to do in terms of transfers going forward. But we've had the email. They want to know about our backroom changes for Arsenal. This might very well be happening. Right. I mean, I don't necessarily know what we want to do. They're willing to offer some budget, though. So, at the moment, I'm looking for coaching staff, 3 out of 10. They've got a goalkeeping coach and 2 fitness coaches. Who's willing to come with me? Who's the better of you? You're very good. You're very good. You're both very good. So do you know what? You can both come, and you know what? You can You can go. And then we'll bring with us our set piece coach, because I feel like he's pretty decent. Who's their set piece coach? Let's have a look. Set piece coach. I bet I've gone right past him. Is it even a thing? I don't know. Set piece, set piece, set piece, set piece, set piece. It's vacant. Let's bring him. That sounds good. They've already got their fitness coaches. Let's have a quick look at their fitness coaches and just see how good they are. I know I'm in the way of some of this. Apologies. They're both fine. How are ours by comparison? He's better. He's much better. He's much better. Right, well, you two can come. You two can go. We don't need you. We will then just fill it out, I think, with a couple of the coaches. So who do we want? Who's our best coaches? Let's have a quick check. I'm just going to scan through them and just pick the ones that look the best. Feels like the thing to do. I mean, probably bringing Maresca's a good idea. In fact, do you know what? Enzo Maresca, I think I'd rather he be my assistant manager if he will agree. I would like him to be my assistant manager. That feels like a really good decision, I would say. I think we just offer a bunch of these guys deals to come. Fill the coaching staff up beautifully. We've still got loads of budget left to do other stuff with. Not that I think we're going to bother. Where have we got vacancies? Coaching staff, the goalkeeping coach. We've already sorted that. We don't need any vacancies there, really. Physios. Let's bring a physio. We've already got a head physio. Yeah, we do. Who's better? Oh, actually. Yeah, do you know what? We don't need that. Sorry, Ruby. Head of sports science. How are we doing? Tom Allen. Yeah, do you know what? We'll work with you. That's fine. Physio. Who's our best physio? You can come. Greg. No. Mass. Yeah, you can come as well. Brilliant. I got very much into that, so I've made a bunch of changes. We're still well under budget. I'm going to confirm it. There's no point us doing anything at this point that is going to be beneficial for Wolves. And I feel really bad for saying that, but in a matter of days' time, we're going to get an offer for a new club. And then we have to make that decision because, again, bear in mind, we're not going to have any money, really, unless there it is. Right. Now, we need to really think about this. Look at the wage, though. Look at the wage. Oh my word, look at the wage. That's sensational. Massive wage budget, massive, well, not a massive transfer budget at all, but a budget that we can work with. I mean, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? It's a no-brainer. What I am going to include in now is this. And just see what happens. I don't want to include that. Tell you what, I'm going to be cheeky. Let's try that. They're reducing that. Let me try and up that and I'll just lower that. Give it a go. Okay. Wow. Sorry, Wolves. I think that is that. We are about to become the Arsenal manager. Didn't see that coming, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've ever managed Arsenal on a proper video before. I think I've done a rebuild of them or something like that, but I don't think I've ever done it as an actual series or anything. So, wow. Well, now, here's the thing. Do we try and bring anyone over with us? Can we afford to bring anyone over with us? I mean, Sharkwist is the first one that jumps to mind, but he's got a heck of a release clause. Atuesta, I'd be tempted, but his form this season worries me. Bayer, definitely. Leafson, definitely. Sharkwist is a definite. Dos Santos, I'd be tempted as well. Caceres for the future. Sosa, I've just signed, so we can't have him. You're not going to see Sosa now, unfortunately. There's a few players I'd consider. Right, well. Hello, Arsenal, I guess. Here we are at the Emirates Stadium. I can't believe we've done that. Right, just in time for pre-season, we have moved to the second place team in the Premier League, and we're going to try and aim to get them above where Wolves have ended up. And we've brought a lot of our staff with us as well, and we'll see whether we can bring some of our players as well. We've got the rivalry against Spurs. There's also kind of the other kind of ones against like teams like Manchester United, Manchester City in recent years as well, Chelsea, all of the other ones as well. But I mean, I don't need to tell you about Arsenal. I mean, they are incredibly historical in terms of their success. A 5-star team, they're predicted to finish first. Last season they finished second. Look at the trophies they've won, just an obscene amount of them. Big stadium as well. That's their current best 11. We'll certainly have a play with that and see what we're working with. This has escalated very quickly indeed. We'll do a press conference and we'll do our things every month, and that's it. And we are here as the Arsenal manager with a tiny budget. To be fair, look at the size of the wage budget. The wage budget is huge. Right, so you're telling me if I do the season expectations, let's just do that. I'm going to agree to all of that. Semi-final Champions League, that's a reach, but sure. Title challenge, I agree to that. Semi-final FA Cup, third round of Carabao Cup. Let's say I agree to all of that. If I now go to here, you're telling me that actually our transfer budget is that, realistically. And then we've got clauses. So 2-ish million from there, $250,000, so let's call that 3 million. Between those, we've got another 2 million, that's 5 million. Sorry, let me just do that, do that, do that, do that, do that. I've not even read what these clauses are, but that one, I want that one. I think they probably missold what I was actually getting. I've gotten ahead of myself here. There is something very important that we need to do, and I'm aware that I haven't done it yet, but I wanted just to get my feet under the table, just to have a look at what we've got to work with. We'll have a look at this properly in a moment, but first of all, I'm currently in Wolverhampton. I think I might need to move down south a little bit. I'm going to openly admit that I'm recording this bit on a different day because I was shattered after we got the Arsenal job. Absolutely shattered. So it is a new day. I'm wearing a new t-shirt. Huzzah. Sleep has been had. And my tongue situation isn't quite as bad as it once was. So we obviously need to decide what we're going to do. Now, putting real world hat on, I stand by the decision to move to Arsenal because I think it is the next stage in our career to move to a bigger club. They are undoubtedly a bigger club, no offence Wolves fans, and that's why we were looking at Chelsea as well. But actually, I'm quite happy we've ended up with Arsenal. I feel like it's not the obvious one in a way, because with Chelsea, you look at them and you just assume money, whereas you don't assume that with Arsenal that they're going to have quite as much. They're still going to have money, don't get me wrong. But we're obviously going to be moving. Now, we actually have a place in this fictional universe in Birmingham. So the thing is, we could commute. It is sort of feasible, if I'm being honest. So it's a 2 3/4 hour transport from Wolverhampton/Birmingham to London. However, I don't really feel like making that journey every single day. There's 2 train journeys with a tube stop in the middle and a little bit of walking. That's fine. It's manageable. I don't really fancy it. If I drove, you'd be looking at 2.5 hours. I don't drive. That ain't going to work. If we're walking, just 2 days. Look at me. If we cycled, it would actually take 12 hours and 48 minutes. Similar answer to the previous question. And if we were to fly, we can't. So that's unfortunate. So that means we're going to have to move. It shouldn't be a problem because Arsenal have given us a lovely £95,000 a week contract. Yes, we're only going to be seeing £51,000 a week after tax, which is a little bit heartbreaking. But when you look at what we earn a year before tax, just under £5 million a year. Ka-ching. And what does £5 million a year get you in terms of mortgage? £27 million to spend on a brand new shiny house. For the looks of things, we've got some fantastic properties to choose from. Let me just there we go. We've got some fantastic properties to choose from. Some are actually out of our price range. Now, I think we could probably afford these two, even though it's well above our budget for the mortgage, because we've obviously been making money while we've been at Wolves. That's not all been going into property. So we probably saved a few pennies to spend on one of these. But let's say we haven't. Oh, we'd have to slum it in one of these. How are we ever going to cope? How are we ever going to cope? My goodness me. I don't know what we're going to do, quite frankly, because we are properly having to slum it. I don't know how we're going to cope. I really don't. I do actually really like the look of this one. Gloucester Lodge. I don't know anything about it. But let's have a look at it. I don't know anything about it at all, but let's dive in. Let's have a look at some of these photos. It looks beautiful on the outside. I think we can all agree on that. Absolutely beautiful. It's got this lovely little courtyard. It looks like something out of a, you know, when you're watching like the American crime programs, like The Rookie or 911, there's been a murder at a fancy house. This is the driveway to that fancy house. Look at the size of that living room. That living room could fit my house in. That's insane. Lovely little table. They have got a TV. That's nice to see. Lovely little bit of culture. That is fantastic. Lovely little chandelier as well. I don't know what this is, but I do quite like it. I do find, is that, hang on, whoa, hang on a second. Is that, I thought it was like an aquarium for a second that was just built into the wall. It's not. It's got butterflies on it. That's still kind of cool, but not as cool as what would be. Okay, that's an interesting choice of decor. I'm not mad at it. I'm just very intrigued by it. Very intrigued indeed. So you're sitting here. You're facing Mr. President. Okay, well, that's fine. So this is the back room. Okay, so this is the back room. This is where... So that's where you'd watch telly. This is where you'd have your tea. Although I don't think I want to put any tea on those tables. That feels like it'd be a bit sacrilegious. What is this room? This is a fancy looking room, isn't it? Again, some interesting wall decor. I mean, this one looks fine. This one looks like it's falling apart a little bit. I'm sure I'm probably missing something as I'm not that cultured. Lovely space though. This looks like a museum. I've got to be honest with you. This, I mean, is this like a CD rack that's been specially designed? That looks very fancy, but almost too fancy for myself. That's like a massive fire bell. I don't think that is what it is, but that's what it kind of looks like. Lovely little garden space as well. Lovely to see. Happy days. I kind of expect it to be a bit fancier, I'm not going to lie. Like maybe a fire pit or something, but, you know, we'll live. Dining room. Great. I mean, we had a back room. We don't necessarily need a dining room as well. We especially don't need a dining room when we've got a dining room in the kitchen. We don't need that. However, can we just appreciate how gorgeous that kitchen is? Oh, can I have that, please? Please? I can pay for it, I promise. That is a TV and a half. That is. There's another room just off the kitchen to live in. So what is downstairs? We've got separate living rooms if people fall out. That is a nice bedroom. I want that bedroom. That is beautiful. My word. That one is as well. I tell you what, like, I'm having that one because the bed's bigger, but my goodness, that is a fantastic pair of bedrooms. Beautiful bathroom. I love in the two sinks. I don't know what it is about two sinks, but I love that. Lovely walk-in shower with what I forget the word for that, but you know, the fancy shower head that's just like rain coming on. See, I forget what it's actually called, with a bath separately as well. It looks like it might even have its own shower head too. So multiple options. So you've got two sinks there. Is that a sink or is it a bidet? I forget. I don't know what they're called. I'm not that fancy. I don't know if you've noticed. The corridor even looks quite fancy as well. That's a cool staircase. I need that in my house. I need that. That's less than fancy. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm assuming that's a garage that you have. That actually is where I'm going to do my Football Manager videos from when we eventually move in. Just give me the keys now. Okay, well now we're out of Fantasyland. We now actually have to decide what we're going to do with the squad. It is the 3rd of July. We do not have that long until the season begins. It's the 10th of August against Liverpool. At the moment, the club have got 5 friendlies scheduled in. Potentially 6 if we win this game because it's part of a tournament. Who's that tournament with? It's ourselves, it's Barcelona, and then it's those 2 clubs, one from Germany, one from Portugal. So that's a bit of an interesting one. So it'll be interesting to see how we do in pre-season with a brand new team. We do need to build the team. This is the first time, of course, we've joined the club in pre-season. Both Charlton and Wolves were part of the way through the season in November. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we do with a slightly shorter pre-season than probably what we would want. What we do need to do is assess the squad properly. We had a quick look through them, but we need to have a look and see what we've got. Now, in terms of actual top quality players, we have got a good group of them. in terms of proper top quality players, there's one who's under 30. There's Bukayo Saka, who's 29. But he's also on international duty with a bunch of the other players. We've got, in terms of our best, like, 6 players, we've got a 32-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 29-year-old, another 32-year-old, a 30-year-old, and then in the next kind of layer down, we've got a 26-year-old and a 32-year-old. The youngest player in our kind of squad is 21, and he's got a bit of potential at 2.5-star current ability. We need to get some youth into this team. We basically need to do what we did at Wolves. In terms of the youth setup, how are we doing? Average squad on both. All 2-star players in here. We've got one who's got a great amount of potential, who's a model citizen. Hello, Lucas Weatherby. Consistency. That might be okay, to be fair. We might be able to train it out of him. He's only 18 years old. He's got to go out on loan and get some experience because he looks the absolute business. This guy as well, Miran Yavuz, who is a Turkish international already at 20 years old. He definitely needs some more first team football. Maybe we loan him out as well. He's got some decent potential. And in the under 18s, not a lot. This guy over here, Carlos Segovia, he looks like he could be decent. Spanish, capped at under 20 level. He could be pretty decent. Let's get him out on loan somewhere, I think, and get him some experience. I know he's only 17. Actually, he's only 17. Let's not do that. But he's probably going to be the kid who we need to keep an eye on. We've got no loans out, so that is basically the youth setup that we have to deal with, and that is the squad we have to deal with as well. So in terms of positions, what have we got? We've got one goalkeeper, but we know immediately where we need to work. They've let Carnesecchi go. I would have liked to keep Carnesecchi. We need a number 1 goalkeeper as well, because Raya's 35. We ain't going with a 35-year-old David Raya. Centre-back wise, we've got Sardella, Sutalo, Saliba and Calafiori, who can also play at wing-back, and Declan Rice and Benjamin White can play at centre-back as well. We need to freshen that up. We need youth in there. Youngest one there is 29. We need youth in there. Let's actually go to the filters here and just filter it out a little bit. So, defenders, right side, Sardella, Sutala, Saliba and White. We haven't got a dedicated right back. We need a dedicated right back. Left back, Calafiori can play there, Lino can play there, Ruggieri can play there, and Kiewor can play there. So we have got some dedicated left backs. So right back's a priority. Right, how are we doing for defensive midfielders? Sorry, that was my phone. Declan Rice, he will probably be playing there, that's fine. Kiewor can play there, he won't be. Alan Varela, I mean, he's fine, but if we can sell him, I'd be quite happy to raise some funds with him. He's wanted by a bunch of teams, so that'd be okay. Guendouzi, I'd quite like to move on. He's also wanted, that's fine. £36 million would be great. Odegaard probably has to stay. Kai Havertz probably has to stay, and Pavlovic definitely at 27 has to stay. He's got a tiny bit of potential as well. Don't know much about Pavlovic, but he's got 77 caps for Germany, so he's definitely not going anywhere because he's clearly a good playmaker. So let's definitely try and use him as best as we can. Real player as well as a bit of a bonus. There's some wages on these boys though, aren't there? There really are. In terms of just out and out central midfielders, we've obviously got the defensive-minded lads who can play in those positions. We've also got Louis Codrington. I'd be quite happy to move him on. He's not good enough. Lamar Rowan, not good enough. And Ethan Waneri, probably not good enough, but we'd keep him just because he's going to be someone who can be useful for Champions League. Although, not that much because he doesn't like big games. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a challenge, actually. We're going to have to do a bit of a rebuild here. In terms of attacking midfielders, who can just play as attacking midfielders, it's everyone we've already looked at, apart from Methis Tell, but he will probably play as striker. 26 years old, 22 caps, 13 goals for France. Is he going to be our striker or is he going to be a winger? I don't know. We'll have to have a think about that. Speaking of wingers, though, let's see what we've got in that area. We've got Lino, we knew about him. Martinelli and Saka making an appearance now, as well as Simic, who's got a bit of potential, and Methis is in there as well. On the right-hand side, we've got these youngsters here. Obviously, we know about these two, but Zekovic John has joined us. He's going to get moved on. And no one else really knew other than Lino. And that lets us lead nicely into the attack where we have got no new players. We do need to really do some work on this squad, to be fair. So in total, how many players have we got in the first team before we need to start moving people on? We have got a total of 19 players. So we definitely need to add to it with the money that we've got, and then it's basically 1 in, 1 out. Now, there's 4 players who are trained at club and 3 players trained in nation. However, we are definitely going to be losing David Raya. He's not going to be here for much longer. I'd probably like to move on Benjamin White, if I'm honest, and he is wanted by a few clubs, so that works out quite nicely. So we are going to have to look to move for some English players to try and help with that Champions League Champions League registration for the players. We're going to have to look at that. Again, Guendouzi would quite like to move on as well. There's a few players I'd like to move on. So I think what we need to do is work out what we want to play, work out who we want to lose, and then we can kind of try and build our transfers around that accordingly. Okay, so I haven't kind of finalised tactics yet, but I think that might be the shape that we go with. It's been a while since I've used a 4-3-3. I'm kind of intrigued to see how one would do. Now, we've kind of mapped out who the starting players would be, but equally, there's a lot of gaps, obviously, in terms of who we'd want to start for us. I've got a starting centre-back in Saliba. I don't know whether Satalo would be starting. I feel like he could be a bench option. So maybe we need a starting centre-back, and then we've got our backup options in Satalo and Sardella. We need 2 right-backs. We need 2 goalkeepers. We need 1 left-back. We need basically a rebuild of the defence. Going forward, it gets better. We need a holding midfielder who will be a holding midfielder rather than a defensive midfielder. Going forward, though, Pavlovic can do the defence, the kind of playmaking role reasonably well, but he can also do this Declan Rice role, which I'm going to have as a supporting central midfielder, just so he can get more involved, he can get forward, he can carry the ball reasonably well, get him a bit further up the pitch, just to add a bit of defensive nous. I don't want to necessarily use him as a defensive mid. Do you know what? I'm having second thoughts live on the thing. Declan Rice in real life is getting more adventurous, but in FM, let's be honest, he's built for a half-back, isn't he? He is absolutely built for a half-back. So we'll play him as a half-back. So we need another half-back, which, to be fair, Varela can sort of do. So it's not the end of the world if we use Varela as a half-back. That's fine. So we've got the defensive midfield position potentially sorted, although the youngest of the 2 is 29. We've then got Pavlovic, who can do this position here. What this does allow me to do, though, it allows me to get Kai Havertz to start, potentially. Admittedly, we've got a 32-year-old Odegaard and a 32-year-old Kai Havertz starting. I'm not sure that's necessarily ideal, but what we can then do is have, let's say, swap you 2 rounds, have Havertz as the Mazzala on attack, and have Odegaard as the advanced playmaker on support, which I think is his preferred. It is indeed. That probably works a little bit better, to be honest. So, yeah, I'm more comfortable with that. So we have a good 3-man midfield, but it's an old 3-man midfield. And then we are missing a key player in there. Although Wanyeri, actually, at 24 years old, he can play as a Mazzala. So maybe that solves that. Although, again, doesn't like big matches. And then the forward line is pretty... This entire midfield is basically what Arsenal will have had last season. Actually, what were they using last season? They varied a bit, but they typically went with a 4-2-3-1. Didn't go with a holding 4-3-3 that often, if in fact at all. So... okay, that's good to know. We'll probably stick with this in that case then and just see if it gives a bit of variety. But we definitely need some youth in the midfield. At the moment, I've got Varela, who's 29, and Pavlovic, who's 27. The 27-year-old will definitely have some game time. Varela will probably try and move on, bring in a young holding midfielder and a young Mazzala. The wings, we've got Simic, who's 21, who's got a little bit of potential. Quite happy to give him a chance to grow. And we've also got Nwaneri, who is younger, who's English. He's 24, but equally doesn't like those big games as much. But then we saw how Lewis McKernan did at Wolves. So sometimes that isn't the be-all and end-all. So that might be okay. And then we need a backup striker pretty desperately. And... yeah, and then we're kind of done. Saka, remember, is 29. Martinelli is 30. The squad is primed for a rebuild. Now, in terms of players I've got on the transfer list, it's all of them. Lino's on there, Raya's on there, White's on there, Calafiori's on there, Guendouzi's on there. Oh, Kiwor, you're not on there. Let's change that and let's get you on there. What's your value? 28 to 34? Let's put you up for 40 and just see if anyone bites. Zekovic John is on there, Codrington's on there, Rowan's on there. We're going to try and move all of them on. I somehow managed to miss David Raya as well. Let's get him out there. I'm going to put him up for free. I don't care. If someone just takes his wages, that'll do. We've got a lot of work to do and not much time to do it. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get on with getting the team ready. I'm going to get on with transfers. I'm going to get on with tactics. I'm going to get on with friendlies. And we are going to come back for that opening game against Liverpool, because apparently we can't start easily. It has to be at Anfield, it has to be against Liverpool. That's where we're going to leave it for today. That's where we're going to come back for the first proper episode of Club 4 of the MyCareer save, which has kind of happened a little bit out of nowhere, and I'm not going to lie, I thought it was a blue shirt we were going to be wearing, but it is what it is. But we're going to leave it there for today. We're going to get some transfers in, hopefully, and we're hopefully going to have a squad to start the season that we can be proud of. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed today's video, which took a very dramatic turn, do not forget to leave a big like on there for me, and do not forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the nonsense like the nonsense that you've just seen. I've been Stu, you guys have been awesome, and I will catch you in the next video. Cheers.